Hello everyone, welcome back to the Captain Logan Show. It's I, Captain Logan, and joining me this evening, as always, is my wonderful chat moderator and producer, DJ of the Martinezes. Hello, DJ.
Hello. Good.
What's up, buddy? We are back at Dinosaur Story. Yes, indeed.
Yes, we are. And I missed it, man. I only missed a week, but it feels like I missed a couple months. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, and you only missed the one show, so to me, I'm just like, because you said that to me before we started recording, or before we started broadcasting, and I was like, what, you missed one show? But I guess it has been a whole week.
Yeah, well, I missed what would have been 2 shows, and I'm used to doing those twice a week, so it feels like it's longer than it is, but I'm back, and it's good to see you guys in the chat. Everyone's throwing me some good questions, so happy to see you guys.
Yeah, thanks for popping in, folks. Tonight we're going to broadcast for just an hour. We're going to take your questions on whatever you'd like to talk about within reason. There's a little bit of new stuff here and there that's happened since last Wednesday, although all the big stuff was last week, and we covered everything there. But if there's anything you want me to follow up on, or any of the more kind of, small snippets, rumors, you want me to try to tackle, feel free to ask about those. I don't think we're going to do a lead-in topic tonight. I was thinking, I had an idea for one that was a follow-up from last show, but I think I'll just tackle it if it comes up, because I think it's liable to. So we're going to go ahead and just jump right into things here in a second. Originally, DJ and I were going to do another commentary tonight. We're going to do a Streaming Wars. I think we're going to try to do that next Tuesday. Since I hadn't seen DJ in a week, I thought it'd be good to catch up this way instead of jumping right into a commentary. And also, I usually try to not have the commentaries and After Dark on the same week, just for the sake of my time and energy and stuff. I want to mention, so After Dark will happen Thursday night after another regular Captain Logan show. Also want to mention that I'm going to be trying to knock out a couple of requests this week, because just like a couple weeks ago, I didn't have any time last week to do requests because I had Connor here and he and I were shooting some things and hanging out, and I was on kind of a mini vacation with him. Thanks again to Connor for making the trip. He was awesome. We had a really fun live show with him last Wednesday that I think went great. We also did a He Made Me Watch, and of course he picked the most awful, atrocious thing to make me watch, Troll 2, which is one of those kind of notorious room level B movies, and I'm glad I saw it so that I could talk about it, but I'm not glad I saw it all at the same time. We shot some footage of our watching that, and I don't know, you get into routine, DJ, and you do you kind of get set in your ways, and I had completely forgot we shot that footage, and I just posted He Made Me Watch wholesale the way we shot it without editing it, and forgot that Connor was planning on taking some snippets from that show, kind of best of the worst style, and throwing them into the video. Totally forgot about that. So he's going to make, when he gets some time, a separate video with clips of our watching that movie, and hopefully that will be really fun and entertaining as well. But anyway, so I'm going to try to knock out a couple of comic requests this week by request. So a couple of Batman things I'm already in the middle of reading for the first one, and so those of you guys who requested Batman comics, you know who you are. That's what I'm planning on working on this week and hoping to get out at least by the weekend. But that's all the news that's fit to print. We're kind of leisurely chugging along here on Geekvolution right now, posting when I can, because we're getting ever so close to my wife delivering our twin. She is 6 weeks from the, I want to say due date, but they actually don't change the original due date when it's twins, even though they ought to, because they're not even going to let her get to that due date. So how's that still the due date? I don't understand that. But middle of July is her induction date. They're not going to let her go past a certain day, and we're pretty sure it's going to happen sometime before that. So everybody just bear with us and be patient, if you will. At some point, I'm going to have to just shut things down here for a little while, and then after that, I'll post whenever I have the opportunity. But I'm going to have 5 kids, a toddler in the house, and 2 babies the same age that I have to take care of at the same time. So I'm going to do what I can and try to hang on to the reins of, my job as much as possible. But I want to say thanks to everybody for all the support and the kind words and encouragement. You guys are absolutely wonderful. And now we're going to go ahead and start getting into some questions. Whatever you guys want to talk about, pop culture stuff, sci-fi things, superhero movies, comics, you know the drill, whatever you want to chat about. And if you want to make sure that your question, comment, concern, complaint, irritation, or magnificent praise I will take those as well. Or read on air, you can leave a super chat in any dollar amount, and that really helps us keep things rolling on Geekvolution. We are primarily funded by the audience, and we really appreciate you doing that. But if you don't want to do that, can't do that, leave a regular comment, direct it to DJ Martinez, at DJ Martinez, and he will try to get to as many of those as we can as well. DJ, let's get right into it, man. What are we going to talk about this evening?
Before I do that,
yeah.
People are saying I sound. First of all, people are saying they can't see me and that I sound low and echoing. Jedi Knight says Ghost DJ, and Daniel Davis says I'm an invisible voice.
Well, I don't know why they wouldn't be able to see you. That's weird, because I can see you on my end, and I also don't totally know why the echoey thing would be happening either. But yeah, I don't. If you guys will give me just a second, I will change some settings here and throw some headphones on, and I will fix as much of that as I can.
Yeah, I don't know how bad it is. They were kind of saying it jokingly. I just wanted to let you know before we got rolling.
Yeah, no problem. Hey, feel free to interrupt me next time a thing like that happens.
Well, I wasn't talking for most of that, so.
Okay, I'm gonna need just a minute to change some settings here, if that is indeed what we need to deal with here.
Of course, Day Ghost is telling me to yell echo to make things harder for you.
Yeah, I've changed some things around on the desktop here, which is always a mistake. Always a mistake.
They get vindictive when you change the settings on them, these computers.
Yeah, for some reason, having this go through my speaker like I have been for a long time is suddenly things are coming out a lot quieter right now. So I suspect that has to do with using that as a Bluetooth speaker, and so I'm going to have to go back through with a wire. I moved some wires around in my house, some aux cables, and I was like, oh, this is a Bluetooth speaker. I could just be letting my desktop go out to Bluetooth. Apparently not. Nope. That's not going to work out. So, okay. Well, thanks a lot, folks. I think we fixed that. And a couple people are saying that they can see you. Yeah, he's fixed audio-wise. Austin says you're still echoing, but we all know that he's a liar. So
yeah,
you should be good now.
And he has more audio problems than anyone. So can we really trust him?
Anyway, but yeah, I'm not sure exactly. I'm not sure why folks couldn't see you a minute ago, but some people are saying that they can. And like I said, there's nothing I can do about that because I'm seeing you on OBS. So
I like being spooky, DJ. I like being a disembodied voice from nowhere. That works for me.
Ooh. All right. What do folks want to chat about?
All right, Blue Dragon 5. Cap, which existing what-if story would you like to see further expanded in a comic miniseries?
Wow, just of what-if comics going all the way back. Man, it's been a long time since I've read What If. I have to like go back through my brain. I mean, like every kind of story with that has been told. And you know, I feel like, and I don't want to cop out when I say this, but we are in a place now where we do a lot of really novel, gimmicky ideas in Marvel and DC, because they've never been done. So it's like, what if this person wore the mantle of Spider-Man? Well, that guy's never been Spider-Man. Rocket Raccoon's never been Spider-Man. Let's let him do that, you know? Squirrel Girl's never been Harold the Galactus. Let's do that. Actually, there was a really funny comedic issue of, I mean, I guess her series is always comedic, but there was like a parody issue of her book that kind of did that once, which is pretty great. Like, I can't even throw out a thing. You know what? That's gonna be my answer. That wasn't really a what if, but I would love to see more Heralds of Galactus. I think you could do like that'd be a good what if miniseries. I'm BSing off the top of my head right now. How about what if you had a what if miniseries that was like 6 issues where it was a vignette thing, and each of them is somebody different is a Herald of Galactus. That could be cool.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. We did that with kind of like with Thor's hammers, so we could do that with Galactus's heralds. Let me see.
Also, one of the classics that I always liked was What If Spider-Man kept his 6 arms, and there's a lot of different ways you could take that. Like, it would be cool to jump from that, sort of like and Marvel's done this kind of thing a lot before, where there's like a cool, what if Elseworlds type idea, even if it wasn't what if, that we really latched onto and ran with and did. If not, we do, like you do a miniseries, and then if that's really popular, we keep going with it, and we have a monthly, and sometimes it becomes a big part of the MCU, a big part of 616. That's what we did with Spider-Gwen, who is now Ghost Spider. I think it could have been cool to do something like that with the Spider-Man with 6 arms, where you just keep. The other one I was thinking of was Mayday Parker too. We do that with a lot of chicks in Spider-Man, I guess. But yeah, you take Spider-Man with the 6 arms, and you go and you keep rolling with that. It's like he always has to keep his 6 arms. That's the gimmick of that book. Or you do even like a Man Spider thing, and so like he turns into Man Spider, and he never gets turned back. It's not just the 6 arms; he's just forever transformed into Man Spider,
and then you make into a Hulk book,
and then that becomes a horror book. Yeah, but he doesn't even turn back into Peter Parker. He's just forevermore Man Spider.
That's true. Well, yeah, and you could do like
it'd be a Man Thing book, is what it would be, but with Peter Parker as a giant spider. Yeah,
he's a Man Spider. You could and then you could do like later Peter Parker stories with the 6 arms, like do like a Kraven's Last Hunt where he has the 6 arms and stuff. I would just love to see like stories that were made after we like de-aged Peter to see those like as he was older. Like that would be really cool.
Yeah, you could have taken that in its own direction as a kind of like
Elseworlds
reverse of Ultimate Spider-Man kind of thing, where it's like you take where 616 was going, and you just continue it on like it never reset.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what DC is doing now that they're kind of retconning sort of New 52 and Rebirth. They're going back to the original timeline.
Oh, that is a good idea, Jedi Knight. Man Spider with Peter's mind, kind of like a Beast scenario. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, and that is a good idea. But like he can't talk, so he's got so he can think logically, and he might be able to like find creative ways to communicate. But if anybody sees him, he just looks like a snarling beast.
Dude, now it sounds good. Have you ever read Metamorphosis?
No. Oh, you mean the classic story Metamorphosis?
The classic story.
The Metamorphosis?
Where he just randomly turns into a beetle overnight and can't speak, and he's like trapped in his house, and exactly a Spider-Man story like that. All right, Ace versus Knight gives us a 25 Ron super chat.
I don't know what that is. Thanks, man.
I don't know what that is. That's cool. Cates has retconned Galactus to be a herald of the Black Winter, an entity who eats universes, so a multiversal version of Galactus. Thoughts?
Wow. Yeah, I haven't read. I almost said I'm behind. I haven't been reading, so it's not even fair to say that. I read the Cates Venom run up through I think 2025, and I know that that's finally about to end. Or is it? Actually, I don't even know. I know Cates isn't on that book anymore. I guess that book is still going. Sorry, I'm conflating things. No, the Black Panther book's about to end. That's what I was thinking of. But yeah, anyway, with the Venom book, this is how not in the loop I am right now. Like the few things I'm reading about comics that are all melding together, just because of a couple of guys whose names sound sort of similar. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. That's the Black Panther book. Anyway, I had not heard about that, and I would have to read it before I pass judgment on it, but I don't immediately love that idea. I don't think it actually makes sense. Like, if you go back and you look at the origin of Galactus and that guy, that initial character and where he comes from, I don't see how he could have forever, like going all the way back, been a herald of somebody else. That's what I don't mind a universe-eating version of Galactus. That's not a bad idea if we're doing multiversal stuff anyway. But I don't need Galactus to be his herald. Don't retcon it. Just have it be like just open the curtains up. This is what I'm saying, having not read it, because I said I would need to read it to pass judgment on it. Just that idea. I'm just reacting to the idea. My immediate response to that, just if you pitched it to me as an idea, would be, well, how come the Universal Herald can't just come to Galactus and go, now you need to be my herald for some reason? Like, come up with some kind of realistic contrivance to make that happen instead of saying he always was. Yeah, I don't love that right away, but that's a guy who's really good at winning me over on really weird, bizarre ideas that I might have thought sounded stupid before I opened a book, so...
Got another one from Ace versus Knight.
Thanks, man.
Spencer had the Sin Eater shoot Norman with his magic shotgun. Because of this, Norman's sinful nature disappeared. He is now a good guy. Thoughts?
Okay, so I'm not going to keep doing that with stuff that I haven't read for a couple of reasons, and thanks a lot for the super chat. But that one in particular, I would just need to sit down and read it before I even understood everything that was happening with that. But also, let's not make this retconning current comics the podcast, okay? Because the live show, because there might be folks watching right now that don't want to know those things. And I should have said that with the Galactus thing, but I guess it doesn't matter because he wrote it afterwards. But you just mentioned a Galactus idea, and I was like, what do I think of that? But now it sounds like we're just going to major plot points in the popular Spider-Man runs. So yeah, I wouldn't comment on that until I read it. And I do hope to get to that stuff and read those things eventually. I'm so overwhelmed trying to jump back into old comics and reading stuff that people are requesting. I have a surprising number of comics right now on the request list versus movies. Like the next two are comics, and then I got to do movies again right after that. So folks that ever want to do requests, and just know that there's a backlog because there's a lot of people requesting, and I really appreciate all the support, guys. But also, again, I'm going to have to take some time off soon. So if people do put in more requests, it's going to be a while. But if and when you ever decide to do that, just know that I also do comics, and I get really excited when people give me comics to read, because I end up reading things that I never would have bothered with otherwise, just off my radar, not making it a priority, or things I've never heard of. That's always great too.
Next is from David22, and I don't know these words, so I'm just going to read it straight. The Crystal of Sidorak. Do you become Juggernaut? Do you become, maybe? Maybe he forgot a space and he spelled it with just the letter U. Do you become Juggernaut?
I don't, I'm sorry, I don't know what that means. Is that the thing that makes Juggernaut Juggernaut? I know there's an artifact that does it.
Yeah, that sounds right, but I don't know what he's...
I don't really understand the question.
There's not a question.
Like, I think anybody that has that does. Sorry, David, I just don't know what that means. I'm not sure how to answer that.
He's still in the chat.
Feel free to elaborate there in the chat if you would, yeah.
DeJuan Patterson Powers, just curious, how accurate would you like science to be in superhero comics? As I like the telekinetic thing to Superman.
I am not picky about that. It really just depends on the internal logic of a thing. I'm really, really open about this kind of thing. It's simply, what kind of world are we in? If we're in a super heightened reality like Silver or Golden Age DC, I don't need a lot of explanation. But if you're in something that, yeah, a lot of pseudoscience, but something that's professing to be a little bit closer to the world we live in, both in the way people interact with each other and also how the science works, and that it's science-based and not magic-based in the first place, like with Marvel, you just gotta be consistent. I guess my preference between those two things is Batman. I mean, that's always my answer, right? Is like, I love the universe of Marvel more than the universe of DC, but my favorite character in comics is Batman, and I like his world more than anything, and his world tends to be more of that grounded, like super science, pseudoscience kind of universe, but within a larger world that is really heightened and can get really out there. So I guess the more grounded thing is kind of my preference, and I'm more of a science fiction guy than a fantasy guy anyway. But as far as just like needing, because the thing is, I can have like even a pretty hard science fiction story that starts with a conceit is the thing. So you can tell a very science fiction-y kind of story with Superman where all the other science except for Superman is very explained. I don't need every little thing about how Superman's powers to be explained. And there have been folks that have done, writers that have done really creative things with that have gotten as close as you can to making flying and heat vision, et cetera, really scientifically based, and how the sun works as a battery and all of that. But like at the end of the day, I don't need that, even if you're telling a really science fiction driven story. So I guess my exception to that is if you have a singular conceit that just does not need explanation, beyond that, I just need to know how serious the rest of the world is taking itself.
All right, Super Billy. Hope young This is a two-parter, so let me get these both out. Hope young Thanos is in Eternals. What was his relationship with the other Eternals? How do they feel about who he became and what he's done? And then the second one says, and do they mourn him now that he's dead?
Yeah, I hadn't given that any thought because I don't know very much about Eternals, but you would expect to pull the curtain back and deal more with the history of the cosmic world of the MCU in that movie, and those are people who would know who Thanos is. I don't know how involved he is in any of the comics, so like I said, that's why I wouldn't have had that thought. DJ, I'm of two minds about doing it there. Because the first part of me is like, the cynical part is like, I didn't really care for a lot of the things they did with their Thanos, and I don't think he added up at the end of the day, and I kind of just want to move on. And I'm kind of done with MCU Thanos. There's some things I like about him in Infinity War, but by and large, it's not what I wanted, and it didn't add up, and I don't care for that. So I don't need any more of that. At the same time, if they could retroactively, but not make it feel too retroactive, if they could retroactively make him make more sense and turn me around on him, I could, after I've seen that, really appreciate that they did it. But right now, I think that first part of me is winning out. I really don't want that at the moment, but I could be way won over on it depending on how they do it. Depending on how they flesh that out.
Yeah, it's tough. I kind of want it's tough, right? Because I'm not that interested in this phase, but at the same time, I want them to just stick to their guns and go a whole different way with this phase. I don't want them to be too lenient on pulling things in, but I wouldn't blame them if they did, because this phase, I mean, they could lose a lot of people on this phase, so I understand why they would feel the need to do that. So it's
and that's and yeah,
there.
You don't want to be a hypocrite. You don't want to like you're saying. You don't want to at the same time say, I don't like what they're doing, but keep doing what you're doing. Like, I totally get what you're saying, but you're just saying, like, have some creative integrity and don't be stuck in the past.
Yeah, that was the saga. Like, go start a new saga. Like, that's what I feel like they should do.
I wouldn't mind a little bit of discussion of Thanos here and there. I don't need flashbacks with Thanos.
Yeah.
I
don't know if I need young Thanos. I'm trying to picture that. First thing my mind went to was baby Vision, which is the most terrifying thing in that whole show. Of course, he wouldn't be baby Thanos, but
yeah, I'm kind of reminded of the teenager Apocalypse kid from the Jason Aaron X-Men comics. That's the first thing that came to mind when you said that. But yeah, it's funny though that you say that, like, this is the phase where they could really lose people, because you and I keep kind of feeling that way, and yet I read an article today that showed that the Eternals trailer has been like the most watched trailer since the pandemic started, and it's I don't remember the number, but I mean it's a lot of views. Like a lot of people are curious about that. And I think it's because it's that thing nobody has heard of, and Shang-Chi has that too. But Shang-Chi is maybe more of a niche thing, or at least more obviously a niche thing. Because Eternals could be too, but people don't know what it is, so they're curious about it. Shang-Chi is, you either are really taken in by kung fu movies already, or you're not. You know what I mean? You're either really interested in Eastern mythology, or you're not. You either want dragons in your MCU, or you don't. And just taking one glance at the guy playing Shang-Chi in that outfit, you can kind of get a sense of maybe what that movie is supposed to be, which is why I'm thinking it's looking as mainstreamy as it is, because even if that movie surprises us, DJ, and it does carve out a tone more all its own, and it's not too cookie cutter, and it's not too formulaic, they're selling it like another Ant-Man, so that, at least to some degree, in my mind, I know some people are disagreeing with me on that. I don't mean it wholesale looks like Ant-Man. It just looks a little generic to me, and I know I'm not alone on this. Maybe they're just selling it that way to suggest to people No, don't worry. It is MCU. It is still gonna feel like those movies you like. But impressively, they're not doing that with Eternals. They're just letting it look like whatever it is, because I don't even totally know what that is yet, which is why I'm really curious about it. And yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. So anyway, I'm just suggesting that that's the reason that so many people have watched that. Is it's the first thing in a long time where you have no clue, if you've not read any of those comics, and 3% of us have.
Yeah.
What it is you're walking into.
Yeah, and it's interesting that the pandemic might have helped this phase more so than hurt it, because people haven't had any big blockbuster things to watch for a long time. Some stuff's getting pushed back, so this phase is like crammed full. I think Tom left a super chat. Oh, he's actually the next one, so I'll just lead right into this. He said, "Strangely, have an MCU thing almost every month for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Is that a bad move for Marvel? I am Tom, and this is month 5 of Marvel year." I should have read that. I didn't realize where I was going with that. I should have read that.
I am Tom, and this is my diversion. No,
Marvel year.
That's a great question, and I cannot answer that for you. I want to say it's going to have to do with quality and stuff, but that might depend on who you ask, because I've been lukewarm on the last couple Marvel, Disney Plus MCU shows. I like WandaVision more than I liked Falcon Winter Soldier, but the diehard MCU fans and a lot of casual viewers seem to be eating that stuff up with a spoon. And given that, and like with respect to everybody that feels however they feel about that stuff, in my mind, because I was pretty critical of those things, and I don't think by the end of the day either of them was up to snuff with the best storytelling we've had in the MCU, at least with the most consistent storytelling we've had in the MCU. I would suggest that if people's standards are, if the majority of people's standards are in a different place than mine, and other people that are really critical of that stuff, one a month for Marvel is exactly what they should be doing right now, after not having a whole year of it really at all with the pandemic. I think, given people's responses to that stuff, that seems like the right business move. However I might feel about all the material by the time we get to the end of the year.
Yeah, I think Miss Marvel and Hawkeye are going to get pushed. I don't know. Surely something gets pushed. I feel like that's a lot of stuff, but we'll see.
See, I'm not sure at this point, because so much stuff already got pushed to next year that, like, now I would think the slate's pretty solidified. I'm not sure, and like, they've been filming Miss Marvel. I don't know why that would get pushed back at this point.
Yeah,
but well, a number of things that are coming out next year were originally supposed to come out this year.
Yeah, I mean, I know they have to. It's like bottleneck at this point. They have to just get stuff out, but like that just seems crazy. And we still don't have dates for Hawkeye and Miss Marvel, so I don't know. I think they could, but I think they could also just put everything out this year, and it's just going to be crazy that they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 streaming shows and 4 movies in 1 year.
So really quick, let's go all the way back to that David Super Chat, because he wrote things about it, but I still don't know what the actual question was.
Yeah, he was just asking,
explaining Juggernaut, but what was the question though?
I straight up asked him if what it was, and he said that he was asking if you would want to become Juggernaut if you found.
I see. No, because I wouldn't be able to. It would be so impractical.
Well, I was gonna say, wouldn't that be a power that you wouldn't even figure out that you had unless you started just charging things? I mean, it'd be huge.
But I was going to say, it's all part of the package, right? It's not just that if you run, nothing can stop you. It's also, you got to wear this big suit you can't take off, and it's got this huge helmet, and yeah, it would be like being the Rhino, except you're unstoppable. The Rhino. Like, I don't think I may not be right about this, because I don't know a lot about the Juggernaut, but yeah, exactly. He should go. I think there was a rumor that he was.
Well, there's a rumor that everyone is, but hopefully he is.
But I think that was one of those, like, pseudo-confirmed. I don't trust anything. Anyway, all you care about is revenge or world domination, or you just want to amass a lot of money. Like, there are lots of ways that you could get money being the Juggernaut.
Yeah.
But no, I wouldn't want that. Now, if I could just be the way I am right now, and my only superpower was nothing can stop the Captain Logan, well, sure. That'd be fun. It'd run through walls and stuff. Not like through them, you just property damage all day long, but nobody could stop you. That'd be fun for 5 minutes. Like, sure.
Yeah, that's the fun of playing Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction. except in real life. Um,
I think I'd rather phase through walls or be able to just run really fast, but
yeah. TH1. We already talked about his. That was the Marvel
yeah, thanks,
question.
Tom. That was a great question, man.
Yeah, Divid 22 put in another
David
one.
says the helmet does come off. Okay.
Oh, so you could get a little goodnight kiss at least.
That's good. I don't know if the
Divid
rest of the
22.
costume comes off, but
He gave us another one to say, what if Deadpool or Venom symbiote became Juggernaut? He's on this Juggernaut thing tonight.
yeah, he's just all about the man. Nothing stops the Juggernaut questions.
I don't think Deadpool would need Juggernaut. He's already more invincible than Juggernaut.
Yeah, I mean, he just would look ridiculous. But that's one of those things where I think we've probably done that, at least in art, with both of those things, where we've been venomizing everything lately, and we've Deadpoolinized a million things also, where you just see characters that are like or like parodies of various characters wearing a Deadpool suit. I'm sure the Juggernaut version of that exists. But as far as what it would actually be like, yeah, I'm with you. I don't. It occurs to me that would, looking at the Deadpool movies, that it would sort of be like Colossus and Deadpool simultaneously.
We've had to have done. He also mentions Venom. We've had to have done Venom Juggernaut at this point.
Yeah, had to have. And I guess that would be a power that would help him be scarier and get more accomplished.
Yeah, I know you like a different kind of Venom. I like a big, bulky, like Ultimate style Venom anyway, so he already looks kind of like Juggernaut. But someone, John Kelling in the chat said the unstoppable Logonaut, which I like and should be a thing. But thanks for the question,
Yeah,
David.
that's great. Thanks.
Dewan Patterson Powers, 989, thanks. So, Captain Logan, you
Thanks,
just want straight up magic in the MCU. Think the scientific element to magic is for China, as the government don't allow supernatural elements to be shown.
That's interesting. I'm not going to speak to that because I don't have enough information. I don't want to talk out of the other side of my face. I don't know enough about China to discuss that, and obviously I don't want to get ultra political. But just talking about the world and what's going on, I couldn't tell you. It might be, if you are right, it could be one of those kind of like, I don't want to say happy accidents, but it could be one of those things that just lined up where we started with a very science fiction based MCU, and then we get to the place where now that it's finally time to do magic characters like Doctor Strange, they start to kind of put their tail between their legs because they're afraid that certain markets aren't going to accept that, and they want to make sure that their movies will be shown there. You could be right about that. I don't know.
Interesting.
I know there's been a lot of talk about Eternals and Shang-Chi. I think Eternals also both being banned in China, but I've not looked into that, so I don't know why that is. And if it has to do with the magic thing, I'm not aware of that.
Next we got Thomas Ledbetter. In general, to you, what's the difference between media that preaches optimism, Discovery, Picard, versus truly optimistic, Winter Soldier, Guardians?
Characters that feel like real people, that aren't just mouthpieces for ideas or log lines that a writer has. And I think most of us can sniff that out. Like I try to be as respectful to folks as I can when I say that kind of thing, because I know there's people that like the new Trek stuff, but I'm sorry, I'm not seeing real people when I'm looking at that stuff, and I don't know. That's my answer. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how much more to even really elaborate with that. If a thing is actually optimistic, it's setting an example within the thing. It's got characters that are presenting the philosophy through the things they're doing, and usually it's something. And there's various ways to tell stories, and there's I've talked about this a lot. There's morality plays, there's melodramas, there's good reasons to sometimes tell stories in a more straightforward, in-your-face, maybe yes, even preachy kind of way. But the difference is an insulting thing that is pretending like it's a traditional narrative with standard storytelling sensibilities, and something that is but is actually super preachy and pretending like it's not, or pandery, versus a thing that is just in a mode that does that naturally already, and you know what you're getting yourself into.
Now for something completely different. Remember when
Cool.
Remember, this is from Philip Kelton. Remember when Galactus had the Venom symbiote?
No,
That seems like something he didn't need at all.
not right off. Yeah, because again, we venomized everything, but I never read anything that did that, unless there was a what if that I'm not remembering. But I'm sure that's a thing that we did recently. I know I've seen the pop figures that have venomized everything, and I think there's one for Galactus. But no, I don't actually remember that. Maybe you'll jog my memory, and it'll turn out that I've read something with that. I don't remember.
I used to follow a channel that I used to be more into action figures, like back when I listened to Review Spot and Review Revolution and all that stuff. There was a channel who he just made custom Venoms. Like it turned everything into Venom. I don't know what his name was. I haven't checked in with him in 5 or 6 years, but I used to follow him a lot.
Let me suggest this. We do maybe go to that too often, where it's like Galactus wouldn't need Venom. Yeah, but what does Venom need? Or what does Venom want? You know what I mean? Like, if Venom could actually take over Galactus, would that be beneficial to Venom? I guess would be the question.
Blue Dragon 5 says, be cool if Venom Galactus went after Ego the Living Planet.
Yeah. Sure. Like, would they even be compatible? You know? Because that's the thing about venomizing everything.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like a connection that he has with Eddie Brock.
We like to ignore the symbiotic part and just pretend like Venom is the Borg and it just assimilates you. And that's why it's easier to do this with something like the Borg in Star Trek, because they can assimilate just about anything. And so you can go, what would a Borgified this look like? You're like, well, yeah, they're trying to assimilate people and technology, and they're obsessed with the idea of perfection and perfecting everything else while trying to perfect themselves with technologies that they don't have already, and that sort of thing. So it's easy to have a lot of fun in that sandbox. But when you're Venom, like, you do it with a bunch of different symbiotes that each might be compatible with another entity or life form or person for different reasons, but for it all to be Venom doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
No, they have to both be losers for the symbiosis to work.
Hey, at least that movie, it was inconsistent about it, but at least it did the bonding thing. At least it wasn't just Venom. At least it wasn't just a possession. Like, it was two entities that are in... And I don't like that they didn't fully merge to become a third entity, because that's what Venom is, but kind of. But I do appreciate at least that he had two voices in his head talking to each other, as opposed to just, I'm Venom now and I took you over. And they could have gone that way and it would have sucked. Like, I know you already think that movie sucks, and I get that a lot of people feel that way, and I don't love it, but I'm gonna give it what I can give it. Like, they didn't do that. They didn't just make it the annual Smallville Someone Is Not Themselves episode as a Venom movie. That's good.
The annual. Oh, that's great.
By the way, Gotham does it too.
With what?
With all kinds of things, particularly with...
I thought that was a more grounded world. I guess not.
No, Gotham is crazier than Smallville by the end of the day, I think. Or at least they're on par. I think Gotham is crazier more often, because, like, scene to scene. Because if you break down Smallville and you just read a synopsis of that whole 10-season show as if it was just one story, you're just like... This is absolute lunacy. This is like fanfic, you know. What's really funny is Smallville is 10 seasons long, but because so much of it is one-off episodic shows, if you take the actual ongoing stories, and just try to talk about it like it's one story, I think it would actually take you less time to explain than Gotham, which is only 5 seasons, but is constantly changing its status quo like crazy. But anyway, we do it with Poison Ivy, curiously, in spoilers for Gotham, but in the 4th season of that show, I'm finally watching the episodes that I missed in that, so that I can watch the 5th season, and I will probably do at least a video, if not a couple, just because I'm kind of half curious, and I was in the mood for Batman things, and I was, okay, fine, I'll finally, what else am I going to do? I'm finally going to do this while I'm, exercising and stuff. So... Gotham, like aged Poison Ivy up, and I don't know why they didn't just have her older in the first place, but for some reason they felt the need to. They do these gimmicks with everybody. Everybody's got to either like be one age and then later they're another age, or have a split personality, or turn out to have twins, or end up getting cloned and then having twins. Like everybody has something like that in Gotham. Like everybody, or like you're a henchman one day and then you're Solomon Grundy the next day. Like it's just lunacy.
Great.
I think that's
it's a soap opera.
I think at the end of the day, yes, it is. It's a black Blake soap opera, and I think at the end of the day, the point of that show is to drive you as mad as the city itself and the people in it. I think it was a social experiment. I really do. But
it's amazing. It's like a Kaufman show.
They start with Poison Ivy as like a preteen, right? And then something happens to her. I can't remember what. And everybody thinks she's dead. And then when she comes back, she's like a fully developed 25-year-old woman with full-on plant powers that can, from across her, she doesn't have to kiss people anymore, dude. She can just hypnotize you by being there.
Wow, so she's the most powerful Batman villain ever.
Well, you'd think that, but everybody's pretty powerful in that show. But the thing is, or at least a lot of people are. But the thing, I don't know how we got out of this. I apologize. We'll move on here in a second. But I don't think there's a word that Jim Gordon says in fourth season more often than hypnotized. Because it happens with her, and then it happens with Mad Hatter.
Wow.
Because he also is constantly hypnotizing people. But he does it over the radio, so it's even worse. He gets almost everyone in the city to all walk up onto a roof and almost throw themselves off at the same time. Like, that happens.
Hail Lord Zed. Hail Lord. That's actually more like Ivan News, but I don't think
I said this to Connor the other day. I think it... Leap to your doom.
Oh, yeah, that's what it is.
I think it
leap to your doom.
I think it might accidentally be the most escapist thing anybody's ever made. It's not about anything, but it's the darkest, bleakest, most violent thing I've ever watched. That's great. And boy, if somebody gets maimed or their a hand crushed or a limb chopped off or something, they show it too. Every time. On network television.
What a crazy show. I have not seen a single episode, but I'm looking forward to you talking about it some more. It's been years since you've done that.
Right, or I was laughing out loud rolling in the aisles every Monday night. By the end of the day, I think it's a comedy. I think, man, there's a scene where the Penguin outsmarts, or you think he's outsmarting him. I guess he's not, but Penguin attempts to outsmart the Jeremiah Joker kid via pantomime. Pantomime. Joker's about to try to kill him, and he's like, I'm in a box, it's indestructible, you can't kill me! Not kidding! And then the Jeremiah kid, he's like, oh, you're right, I can't! And he like starts trying to punch through the pantomime box, but he can't get through! It's insane!
What? That's amazing. I just want to go watch clips of this show now.
Riddler had a game show where you try to, where he gives you a riddle, and then you have to outsmart him, and if you can't do both, then you have to spin a wheel of horrible things happening to you, including flesh-eating rats in a bag on your head.
Oh, did they call it Wheel Unfortunate?
Yeah, it was Wheel of Misfortune, which is the obvious thing to call that, and everybody uses that.
Wheel of Misfortune, I gotcha.
The best of those, though, is Animaniacs' Wheel of Morality. Turn, 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 and tell us the lesson we should learn. I wish somebody had one of those at the end of Gotham, because I don't know what that show thinks it's about much of the time. Oh, I just want to spoil more crazy stuff from Gotham. Does anybody? I'm gonna talk about this later, but does anybody care if I spoil anything? One more thing from season 4 Gotham. They made crazy. Nobody's gonna care, right? If you care, skip ahead a couple minutes. They made crazy psychopath Barbara Keene, who is Jim Gordon's girlfriend at the beginning of the first season, DJ, and then later they just can't decide what to do. They can't figure out what to do with her. They got no place to take her, so they just turn her into a lunatic. She becomes one of the bad guys of that show, and she's Barbara, like Barbara Gordon's namesake, but no, she's just a crazy psycho crazy person. And then in this season, they made her the heir to Ra's al Ghul.
Hmm.
They made her, yeah, she's the demon's head. And then they have a scene where all the men are chauvinists, and they're all stuck in tradition. And they're like, a woman's never led before. She's like, but I have the demon's head because my hand's glowing, and that means I have the demon's head. And they're like, oh, you're right. Well, we can't have that, so we're gonna murder you. And then the women of the League just turn all the lights off, murder every man in the League of Shadows, which all happen to be in just one room, and then they take over, and now it's a League of Female Shadows. That happens!
This show is making the Arrowverse seem not that crazy.
It's making everything on CW seem like, yeah. If Powerpuff was a Gotham episode, I'd be more okay with it. No, I wouldn't.
No, that's still gonna crush your soul.
Anyway, I'm sorry for going so long about that, but I haven't actually talked about that with really anybody. Hardly. I mentioned some things about it the other day. Let's keep going, shall we?
All right, let's see if we can get back on track with Jedi Knight Super Chat. What if Deadpool was Sorcerer Supreme?
I thought you were gonna stop there. Just what if Deadpool?
What is Deadpool?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have clever answers for questions about what if Deadpool was such and such a thing. Because and for some reason these have been coming up some lately, and I don't mind. I'm sorry, I just feel like I can't give you a great answer. Because it's usually stuff where it just wouldn't, I just can't see it. I don't know why it would happen. Like, why would Deadpool, before we can go to what if, we have to start with how does it even happen? Like, I don't buy Deadpool becoming a Sorcerer Supreme any more than I buy Deadpool becoming Captain America. Like, there's not just certain rituals you have to go through and training you have to get, but I'm pretty sure, like, your heart has to be in a certain place before you get that, right?
Yeah, I don't know how he would manipulate his way into that role, into that position. It seems like it would be tough.
But yeah, I mean, say all things are equal and somehow he gets that, like, I don't know what that looks like. I guess he just uses it to, murder people as a mercenary. I don't
see that guy sitting down and learning all the spells. I don't even know if he would. Unless it's just like the movie where he just has this magic ring and he only has to do this.
Sure, yeah, exactly.
Super Billy! In Spider-Man No Way Home, hope they don't permanently integrate the villains from other continuities into the MCU, that they don't have their own versions. Thoughts?
So the most recent rumored /news/ I don't know for sure what's happening with this movie is that the Sinister Six will be made up entirely of villains from the Maguire movies and then the Garfield movies, and there won't be any villains from the MCU at all. That it's 3 and 3. And that's the Sinister Six, and that's what we're getting for that movie. And I think that would disappoint a lot of people that are liking the MCU Spider-Man movies. And then moving forward, I would be very surprised if we didn't integrate those characters into the MCU unless we hilariously killed all of them off in that film.
Yeah. Just definitively. They're dead for real this time.
Who asked that question?
That was Super Billy.
Super Billy, let me meet you in the middle and say, I agree to the extent that I don't want that to be all that movie is, but if we bring in some villains, if we do some integration and it's done really well, just for my part, I actually think they could win me over on at least some of those villains being the, definitive versions that we're just going to keep in the MCU. If they do something really cool and interesting with Doc Ock in that movie, and I find myself invested in it, and he's in the MCU, I'm not then going to want them to do Doc Ock in the MCU. At the same time, let me give you another angle on that, which is, I never thought of this before, if we're blending universes and doing the multiverse thing, if we do bring in villains from other movie franchises like that and put them all in the same world and have them move forward, aren't we all going to kind of wonder where the versions of them in the MCU are, though? Or do they just not exist? Like, is it not like multiverses usually are, where there's a version of most people in most universes? Because you can say, oh, it just doesn't work that way. Okay, well, that's convenient, because there's 3 Peter Parkers! And there's at least 2 Uncle Bens!
It's just so unfortunate.
There may only be 2 Uncle Bens, but,
that franchise is going downhill. Like, the first movie did such a great job setting up all these villains in this whole Spider-Man world, and the second movie we just got 1 villain, and they didn't do anything with any of that. And the third movie we're going to get 0 villains from that universe. It's just
if that turns out to be true, it's more and more seeming like, and again I have to put in that caveat because I don't know if for sure.
No.
But if that turns out to be true,
the world has become a speculation cast.
That's it. It is more and more feeling like that movie is not interested in the characters from the world that we set up already, but at the same time we know they're doing a Hobgoblin thing. So how does that fit in?
Like,
if that were true, it's like, okay, does that mean there's a Sinister Six, but then we do have at least 1 villain that is ours, but he's not in the Sinister Six? Is that what that means? I don't know anything, guys. Sorry, I don't have anything to grab onto.
I guess we'll see.
And you know, every time we do this and I go to Spider-Man stuff, I look over to the chat and I'm waiting to see, like, hey, you dope, here's this definitive article that tells you everything that is definitely happening, and we know for sure what things are confirmed. You can stop speculating and acting like it's a mystery cap. It's not a mystery, we know! And I look over and it never happens. Nobody sends me that article.
It's crazy. It's nuts.
You want to get nuts?
Here's one from Dwan Patterson Powers. What
Thanks, man.
doesn't work about the MCU Spider-Man is I don't like him acting completely like a teenager. Gwen Stacy or Mary Jane or Black Cat. So that's a second point. 1, he doesn't like him acting like a teenager. 2, Gwen Stacy or Mary Jane or Black Cat.
Maybe that's just a separate question. It's folks trying to get several questions into a single super chat. So my assumption with those 3 ladies' names and a question mark is which of them do I prefer as a love interest? That's how I'm going to answer that. I'm going to assume that's what he's talking about. But just to answer that initial statement, read that one more time. The thing he doesn't like, he's just acting too much like a teenager. I'm fine with it at the beginning. It's just because he has a really good classic responsibility arc in that first movie. If you if you have to have the suit in order to be Spider-Man, then you shouldn't have it. Like that whole thing is wonderful. I'm jumping around to a million movies, so I'm not articulating things right. But if you're nothing without this suit, then you shouldn't have it. That was the whole thing with that movie. That's spectacular. And then I don't feel like we move anywhere from then. I don't know that we straight up regress the character, but I don't think we get very far. We regress it slightly. There is a little bit of him kind of having to do that thing again. Maybe in the second one with the way we handle the glasses and all that. I don't know. But yeah, for me, it's just he's not maturing quickly enough because
especially after going to space and the 2 Avengers movies, he should be a different person, and he doesn't seem like he's changed at all.
And we're not getting
he's actually getting more immature in the second movie.
I think so too. And we're not getting so it's aggression in that sense. We're not getting enough done in his solo movies. Is the biggest issue and the biggest reason I think that's happening.
Mm-hmm. But we talked about that for 4 hours in both of those commentaries.
Which is why I hesitated, because I'm like, you get in that place where you're like, well, I don't want to repeat myself too much. I don't want to contradict myself, and I don't want this to turn into another 10 minutes of talking about a thing that I just did 4 hours
on. So that was Dwan Patterson Powers, and then comment of the stream, maybe?
Comment of the stream! We just got it. We're gonna put that in the comments for next time. Write that down for me. Remind me to do it.
I will. But let's say the second half of Dwan's question was Gwen Stacy, Mary Jane, or Black Cat.
Black Cat also has a name. It's Felicia Hardy. They couldn't get Felicia Hardy in there, so they just wrote Black Cat.
Yeah, it's shorter.
I like all 3 of those characters for different reasons. As far as if you're asking which one should be the definitive Mary Jane love interest. Which one should he get with? I think at the end of the day, it is Mary Jane. I've always believed that. And agreed with the editorial at Marvel that decided to do that as opposed to the folks that didn't like that. I think I have more fun with Spider-Man when he is with Black Cat. I enjoy, and as derivative as that sometimes is from the Batman-Catwoman relationship, I like it. And sometimes I like it better than theirs. So I think I like that better, but I don't expect it to ever last, if that makes any sense. It's just a more fun relationship.
Yeah, I wouldn't think of that as like the definitive girl for him, but it's a fun like situation when we do it. We got to get to that super chat. We got quite a few here. Bob the Hun.
Goodness. Okay, if we stop in an hour, we've only got 5 minutes left. Could you tell me just how many super chats we have, and I will rapid fire them if I can.
Yeah, we just got 4.
Oh, good, not too bad. All right, go ahead.
From Bob the Hun, when
Thanks,
are
man.
you going to respond to the wild accusations? Oh goodness, I just read this for the first time.
Is this a can of worms?
This is this is kind of a behind-the-scenes Geekvolution thing.
Oh, are people accusing me of something?
I don't know if you want me to read it.
Am I Aaron? Can I look at it?
Yeah, you look at it first.
Let me look at it before you. Let's see. Give me a second. No, I can't even. Hold on.
If it's appropriate, we can maybe just thank him for the super chat if you don't.
I'm sorry. I'm not gonna go there. Bob, I never do this. I always read a whole super chat on air, and I'm not willing to get into that publicly. People can read it themselves. Let me just say, he asked me about a guy that used to be on the channel that worked with us for a long time, Steve Baxby, and I just don't want to talk about it on air. I know that he's had some grievances with me, and he's posted some things about me here and there, and he's got issues with the channel and me and stuff, and I just don't feel the need to respond to them. So I'm not gonna. I'm sorry. And he said, I know you want to be classy, but he won't stop talking about you. That's his right, man. That's okay. If he's got stuff to say, he can say it. I don't. Yeah, I don't have any ill will toward the guy. I don't. Anyway, let's move on, shall we?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for the super chat, Bob the Hun. And we know you're a super fan, and you've been here for a while, so thanks so much. 5590ERS, games that were better on the Super Nintendo and ones that were better on the Sega Genesis.
Yeah.
Cool question.
Of course, a lot of games were better on the Super Nintendo, partly because of sound, although that wasn't always the case, because you had a technically superior sound chip on the Super Nintendo, but it did orchestral stuff a lot better than it did like hard rock and grunge and metal. And whenever you had soundtracks like that, they always sounded better on the Genesis. And then graphically, it was very often neck and neck between those systems. But like on the Genesis, just the things that immediately come to mind, I would rather play Earthworm Jim on the Genesis than on the Super Nintendo. I'll just throw one out for each because we've got to get rolling. But and then on Super Nintendo, I would prefer to play Zombies Ate My Neighbors there as opposed to on the Genesis, partly because the sound is better and partly because the button configuration is better. That gave you a 6-button layout. You've got a lot of different things you have to do in that game. That's one of my favorite games of all time. I've actually been playing it a lot more lately, trying to get a lot farther, because that game has 55 levels and I've never been past like 7 or 8 until recently. I can get to 11 now, so I'm incrementally getting a little farther. I've seen more of that game, although there are levels I've never seen, and I'm not looking at walkthroughs because I don't want to know until I get there. But anyway, I digress. But the way that game is laid out is you have 2 different action buttons. You have an attack button, and you have a button for other items like health boxes and things like that. And then for each of those, there is a toggle that switches your item out. And the Genesis controller was a 3-button controller. So once you had a 6-button controller, you could go in and map it, and then it was okay, but it sucked playing that game before you had 6 buttons, because you basically had to use one of the other buttons to cycle through which of the 2 actions you were doing before you then cycled between the different items inside of those actions, and that was impossible. I hated that. So yeah. that's one of the many reasons that's a better game on the Super Nintendo. But there's a couple.
Oh, cool. That's a great question. Thanks, man. And then the comment of the night.
NBA Jam, better on Genesis.
Oh, nice. From the comment of the night, from my ex-wife is a cow. Great name, I guess.
Oh, have you not heard from him yet? He's been with us a little while now.
I think I did see a comment, but I haven't seen him on the live shows. He wants to know, fair question, what do you look for in a raptor?
I like most raptors equally. I like
they have Jurassic... to be in a room.
Yes, I like a more Jurassic Park-y raptor. I appreciate that they really did have feathers, but they stopped being a velociraptor to me once you put feathers on them. Like, a velociraptor more and more, to me, is becoming a mystical creature that didn't exist. Except that's not entirely accurate, because what we think of as a velociraptor based on Jurassic Park is actually truly a Utah raptor, called that because they lived in the state of Utah. Yeah, no kidding. That's where they were. They are large, lizard-like, and don't have feathers, or if they do, very few. And they look a lot more like what we think of as a velociraptor. So I guess what I look for in a velociraptor is a Utah raptor, and I guess I would have to go back in time 65 million years and go to the state before it becomes a state of Utah.
That is so dumb. Why would you name something that cool the Utah Raptor? You're really wasting the power that you have as a scientific discoverist.
When I first found that, I got to tell you, I was really glad that I wasn't taking a drink of anything, because I would have done a spit take immediately.
The Utah Raptor.
I discovered that at a traveling dinosaur museum.
Interesting. I just picture like a Winnebago when you say that.
It was at a convention center.
Thomas, no, not that. Just when I was talking about the.
Oh, sorry, I thought you meant the traveling.
No, that would be great. I want a traveling dinosaur museum that travels around a Winnebago. That'd be awesome. Thomas Ledbetter, thanks for the super chat, by the way. My ex-wife is a cow. Great to have you. Cap, if a show became the longest running of all time...
You're doing it too, just like Austin. You just want to say it as many times as you can.
Cap, if a show became the longest running of all time, which would you rather be forced to watch all of? Discovery or the reworked Powerpuff?
Well, I don't know, because I don't know what the reworked Powerpuff is going to look like. I'm quicker to say Discovery just because, I mean, it hurts my feelings, but not in the same way. It's offensive, but not in the same way. I don't know. There's something icky about the Powerpuff thing. If that came out wholesale based on the bits of script that we saw, if those were indeed real, I still say I'm sure they were, but I guess there's an off chance they weren't. Yeah, I guess I'm going with Star Trek. Hey, real quick, this was going to be the lead-in topic, and I was going to read an article. We just don't have time now, so I'll just really briefly mention it. But I can't remember if it was an executive producer or I think it was it was one of the CW heads, one of the big executives there, put out a statement and said and tried to elaborate. It just made it worse. I think they tried to elaborate on why they didn't take the Powerpuff pilot, and he said that he was really vague, of course, about why it didn't work. He said it just didn't fly. This is why we make pilots. We're gonna have to go back to the drawing board. We still don't know how much of it they're gonna redo. It's from his comments, you would think that it means they're kind of gonna start over, but I don't know. I don't trust it, because he, in the same breath, said that they really trust the property, and also the only complaint he lobbed at it was too campy. That was your problem with it. That was the problem.
That's the one thing that should be.
That was the problem with it. I don't think anybody should expect that when that finally comes out, it's going to actually be better. I think they might have learned all the wrong lessons from that.
That's terrible.
It was too campy.
It's Powerpuff Girls.
It was too cynical and horrifying, is what it was.
Wow.
Anyway, yeah, I couldn't believe that. All right.
That question is horrifying, honestly. Thomas Ledbury said if it became the longest running television show of all time, which right now is Simpsons, which is 32 seasons. So that means there's 33 seasons of either Discovery or Powerpuff.
Yeah, why are you guys... It's like some of you guys are just having a lot of fun imagining me in my personal hell.
Yeah,
it would have been enough just to say
this man's life you're playing with, guys.
It would have been enough to say Discovery's made it to 3 seasons so far. It's about to get a 4th. If Powerpuff made it to 3 seasons, which of those would you... No! You basically said if they never ended ever. Thanks.
That's pretty bad.
Really
Thanks,
appreciate
Thomas.
that. Thanks.
Philip Kelton, Peter Parker loses brain cells thanks to Thanos.
Is that an idea you're pitching or just a statement? Did that happen? Oh, he's talking about the whole teenager thing. Yeah. Okay, that's a theory.
So I guess all of his friends who were blipped also lost all their brain cells.
I guess so. Philip Kelton Velociraptors were big turkeys. Yeah, basically. But not Utah Raptors as much. I mean, they're both bird-like, of course, but because they're still raptors. That's why they're called raptors.
Yeah. Which is why I would think vultures or like condors would be your favorite non-extinct animal, because they're kind of like raptors. What's your favorite animal?
Of non-extinct animals?
Yeah. What's your favorite currently living animal?
Siberian tiger is up there.
Uh-huh.
Those are pretty cool looking. I like sharks, but I don't have like a particular shark. I'm not like a Shark Week guy. You know, or like I'd have my favorite shark because I'm always learning about sharks watching Shark Week. But my wife really likes Shark Week. A few years ago,
so does my wife. That's the weird thing.
I don't know what that is.
My wife wants to swim with sharks. I don't know.
Look, I don't mean to stereotype, but there seems to be this thing with girls and sharks. I don't know what that is. But anyway, I took my wife to the movie theater because they had an event where they were doing like a couple of hours at the movie theater of Shark Week. And I took her there and didn't tell her what we were going to. And she was like, this is both great and very strange. Like, why did they do this? I was like, I don't know. But they gave us these huge shark hats, like these foam hats with like a big shark fin on the top. It's like Shark Week.
Wow.
It's one of my favorite things I ever got at a movie theater. I wish I still had those.
That would be great. Dwan Patterson Powers,
yeah.
499. Is Tommy truly your favorite Power Ranger or anybody else?
No, mine is, as I've said ad nauseum, Gold Ranger, particularly Jason in CO. I love that outfit. I love, I don't know what his attitude was in that season. That's why I got my Gold Ranger staff right here all the time. I love it. I'm just the biggest. This is the reason we don't have a show called Geeks Not Nerds anymore, by the way. But yeah, I mean, I've always said a couple of my favorite costumes are the Green Ranger and the White Ranger costume, but I think the actual Rangers, it's gonna be Jason over Tommy.
Yeah, Jason, Sixth Ranger Jason. Cap has an affinity for Egyptian things. But that's it. That's all she wrote.
All right. Well, thanks a lot for watching, folks. Eclectic assortment of questions tonight. It was fun. Thanks a lot for joining us. We really had a good time, and it's kind of fun to do a just straight up Q&A show without a lead-in topic. And with these hour shows, we might, for the foreseeable future, well, we're still able to do this for a while because the time is a ticking. DJ suggested before we started recording tonight before we started broadcasting that we've got a doomsday clock in my house. We should put up a doomsday clock like in my house.
And then you run into the hospital with your wife, and you're like, "It's doomsday," and they're like, "What are you talking about, you crazy man?"
But we might, I come in with bones protruding all over myself in green shorts. It's doomsday. But what I was saying is we may do more of these where we don't, if it's a slow news day especially, we don't come in with a lot of, with a particular lead-in topic, and we just let you guys really run the show for us, because I get long-winded when we have a lead-in topic. Sometimes I have a lot to say, so it'll be 15-20 minutes into the show, and I've eaten up 25-30%. Philip Kelton says the fat kid from Jurassic Park was right. Oh, the kid at the beginning of that movie about the, yeah. Because he said they're just big chickens. But he also didn't think there was any reason to be afraid of them, and he was wrong about that. And you be the judge about whether or not it was okay for Grant to give him nightmares by taking a real Velociraptor talon and coming this close to, shredding his stomach. Just to prove a point.
It was great. It was the 90s.
It was great. That scene's a great hook, man.
I haven't seen that movie in a while. I should rewatch that.
I'll do it with you anytime, man. It's one of my favorites. Showtime!
Anything with velociraptors in it.
Well, folks, thanks for watching. Once again, we'll see you again on Thursday. We're going to do this all over. Not exactly this, but we're going to do this again. And we'll have After Dark after that. And I'm not sure what we're doing this week on After Dark. It might just be kind of... We might do some segments like we've done in the past, or it might be kind of a free-for-all topic thing. Or if a brilliant notion for a commentary comes to me, we might do that again, too. So... Anyway, we will see you again real soon. I was Captain Logan. We had DJ Martinez here.
Hey, guys. Had fun.
I did, too. It was great. See you, folks.